Good evening and welcome to Midnight Movie Club and my review of Cam, a brand new Netflix thriller that revolves around one's online identity and how it can be taken from you. After a successful festival run, the mysterious techno-thriller has found its way to Netflix this past week. Cam was directed by Daniel Goldhaber and written by Isa Mazzei. This is Goldhaber's feature-length directorial debut and, as far as I know, Mazzei's first ever screenplay. She also plays a small role as a checkout girl in the film. Cam stars Madeline Brewer as Alice and her online persona Lola. Alongside Brewer we have Devin Druid as Jordan, Patch Dara as Tinker, Millera Walters as Lynn, and Michael Dempsey as Barney. So Cam follows Alice, an ambitious camgirl trying to improve her rank online. She's open to doing anything her viewers ask her to if they will donate her tokens and climb her up the camgirl ranks. Once Alice is successful in breaking into the top 50 in her rankings, her celebrations are short-lived as she finds she can no longer log into her account. However, what baffles her is that her account is still online and her shows are still playing, but the Lola in these shows is not her. It is someone else. So I'd love to touch on acting first. Madeline Brewer is fantastic in the role of both Alice and Lola. Brewer's performance does a great job of making the film work, and she effortlessly brings her contrasting personas to life. The development of her Alice character is what gives the film extra depth. As she progresses through this nightmarish scenario, the ideas behind her transformation are not explicitly spelled out to you, but presented in a subtle manner, which evolves into something more than the film's basic premise. I feel if Brewer's performance wasn't what it was, and Mazzei's writing and understanding of the character wasn't at the levels it was at, then the film would fall short. But both the depth of her character and the acting on top of that climb the film to new heights. Patch Dara, who plays Tinker, one of Alice's biggest fans, also does a fantastic job of being this creepy, sweating, steaming pile of flesh that is the representation of the type of audience Alice is attracting when she is Lola. Whenever he is on screen, he kept you on edge as you feel that his weak and nervous facade could fall at any moment and turn into something far more sinister. All of this adds to some of the best tension within Cam. Even though I do feel that the Tinker subplot was one part of the narrative that felt unresolved to me and left me wanting a little more than what we got. I also enjoyed Michael Dempsey, who plays Barney. He is equally as creepy to Tinker, even though he is far more like a normal everyday guy, but he has this sense of control and power when he talks and acts, and it is suffocating. You can feel that what he is saying is masking something malevolent, and I really enjoyed his interactions with Alice as she became more and more uncomfortable around him. With Cam being Goldhaber's first feature-length film, I'm super impressed by his cinematography and just overall how nice the film looks. In a lot of situations, he uses a really shallow depth of field, blurring the world in the rooms around Alice, making her feel like she's the only one there, and the feeling that nothing around her is clear like it used to be. She is lost without her online persona and is isolated in her pursuit to obtain it once more. There are also some lovely tracking shots. There is one in particular I liked when the camera flows through the camgirl house, showing us a little behind the scenes of a typical night within the house. Even though there was nothing groundbreaking with the cinematography, for a first time director I was thoroughly impressed. Now let's touch on the colour palette. Cam is filled with neon lighting, utilising a series of neon bulbs, lamps and LED strips, even disco balls that drench rooms in the hot pinks and blues. Most of the time, even when Alice leaves her studio and goes into the real world, she wears pinks and blues, still keeping that aesthetic constant. There is only one point where she wears white when going out, and this I thought anyway was to do with her trying to come across innocent and pure, in contrast to her unpure acts behind closed doors and in front of the cam. White is usually aligned with safety, and that's something Alice was not feeling at this point in the film. It was something that she was striving and hoping to achieve. I don't know for sure if that was intentional motive behind the costume design, but it is something I noticed and thought of. The set design of the film, however, screams low budget, but they are brought to life with all of the lighting and colours on screen, and personally I think that the low budget feel adds to the underground feel of the culture of cam performers. This is one case where I feel the set design restrictions play into the film's favour. Most of the sets look empty and cheaply decorated, and when possible they are just filled with other girls to overcome this. I think this helps make everything that's happening to Alice feel a little more real and grounded, while giving us a look into a world that most of us will be totally unfamiliar with. This is one case where I feel set design restrictions play into the film's favour. There is also slight grain over the film to give it that raw indie feel. For me anyway, it made me feel that the whole film was almost being watched through a webcam, like Alice's viewers watch her. It also just keeps movement in frame when nothing is happening and Alice is staring blankly in disbelief, but between her reactions and the visual techniques used, it all just adds up to creating an immersive atmosphere of unnerving tension that at some points dips into the realm of horror. So going into sound and music now, I will be mentioning diegetic and non-diegetic sound, so just briefly for those who aren't aware of these, diegetic sound is any sound that the character or characters on screen can hear. So for example, the sound of one character talking to another character would be diegetic. An example from Cam would be Alice hearing her notifications on her computer. Then non-diegetic sound is any sound that the audience can hear but the characters on screen cannot. Any appearance of background music is a prime example of non-diegetic sound. In Cam I found it was mostly a diegetic soundtrack, but when the non-diegetic score does kick in, it hits that suburban bliss happy-go-lucky neon vibe similar to something like Nerve. It has a lovely xylophone and chime-filled charm accompanied with synth drones that add a bit of constant menace. The use of accelerando also gets your heart thumping in the more action-filled scenes. Then when it is used in the more tense scenes, it is still for the most part very subtle, just adding to your nerves and creating an aura of uncertainty. It never fully takes over, it just complements what's on screen, and I really like that. In the third act, the score is almost like white noise in the background, fading in and out to accompany the unsettling imagery and sustain the tension. It is distorted, just like Alice's view of what is going on, and it fits perfectly with the whole web show theme of the film. The original score was composed by Gavin Brivik. I recommend checking it out in all its glory. That scene I mentioned earlier with the camgirl house and the tracking shot, when the score kicks in there, it is fantastic. That was definitely my favourite track on the whole soundtrack. Altogether, there's just a very good use of sound with the diegetic sounds like Alice's notifications on her laptop going off now and then. You can hear her getting tokens, her rating going up and her rating going down. It keeps those moments in heightened tension without music, and Brewer's reactions to all these different sounds keeps us feeling what she is feeling. There is also one scene, I won't spoil anything, but there is a flickering light accompanied by the score that sounds like an accelerated heartbeat, and that really got the palms sweaty. That was just a great tense scene. All in all, they just used the score perfectly and knew when to stop it dead and give us release. The one thing that bugged me most, I touched on a little earlier, was the Tinker character. He did not amount to much and left a little more to be explored, I believe. Mizet may not have completely capitalised on a narrative level at some points, and that was one. Along with this, nothing too shocking or out of the ordinary happens to exploit the amazing premise and the story she sets up, but in saying this, it still does a fantastic job of showing the anxieties of having an online personality, one that gets so out of control that it no longer needs you to carry it on. The finale though does wrap up neatly, and I was surprised at that. I thought the film was going to have one of these cliffhanger endings, but that was a welcome surprise that it didn't. Even though I feel they played it a little safe, it works and it doesn't taint the rest of the film that comes before it. Also, for the little practical effects that were used, they were bloody brilliant and painful just to look at, so I was a big fan of that. Now, there is a bit of nudity in the film, but don't let that put you off. The film revolves around the life of a camgirl, but the nudity isn't gratuitous and outrageous. It's just there because it fits the reality of her work. I really felt this premise worked great with this profession, rather than have it be a YouTuber or a streamer or a viner or anything like that. Having a protagonist be a camgirl who doesn't want people knowing what she does isolated her further and made her face her problems on her own. In the end, Cam is a great thriller which succeeds in capturing the anxieties that come with trying to find a popular online identity in a highly competitive, judgmental and dangerous environment. It is an awesome techno thriller while also being a great commentary on living your life or an alternate life on social media and how people will do anything to get where they aspire to be. Its underlying subtext provides themes of how social media can destroy you on the inside, and in this film, on the outside too, and then have to live with the scars of that, remembering once something is online, it is there forever. So watch what you put out there. I should really remember that and make better content. But anyway, with all that said and done, I'm going to give Cam a 4 out of 5 rating. I really enjoyed this one and recommend it if you're on Netflix. It was a nice tense look into the world of a camgirl. So if you've seen Cam, let me know your thoughts in the comments section, and if you enjoyed this video, just drop it a like. If you haven't already and want to join the club, just hit that subscribe button, and as always, thank you very much for watching and good night.